Hey, welcome back. In today's episode, I'm going to go through the next emerging use case, which is around real-world assets tokenization. Up until now, it's been decentralized finance as the predominant and the main use case that's been starting out in blockchain technology in the real world, in traditional finance arena. Now, the next wave of use cases are starting to unfold, and real-world assets tokenization is the next one to apply in the world of non-financial assets. So let's jump into the details. Okay, I came across this useful short presentation that will help me explain and run through what is real world assets tokenization. So I'd like to kick off by explaining briefly what it is, what tokenization is really about. So it's the process of converting the rights of an asset into a digital token on a blockchain. And really, this is revolutionary in the sense of how the end users or even entities are expected to handle assets, which will then enable a greater pool of liquidity to come into the space, as well as increasing transparency and accessibility to everyone. So let's take just a quick overview of some of the real world applications of tokenization that is being brewed out there in the marketplace. And you can see it really cuts across different sectors, even different type of assets, which is very encouraging, right? So let's start off with real estate. So real estate, this is where investors can buy only a fraction of the worth of a property, which will then of course makes the whole real estate investment that much more flexible and accessible for users and buyers, potentially first-time buyers who aren't in a position to fork out a huge deposit on a property by themselves outright. So this fractional ownership of real estate is, this is what's going to be addressed by this real world asset tokenization. Moving into arts and collectibles, well, the same again. So artworks and collectibles can be tokenized, again, allowing fractional ownership and easy to trade with. Commodities like precious metals and like gold and silver and other commodities can be traded as tokens. Financial instruments is actually a particularly interesting area because I remember Larry Fink, who is the CEO of BlackRock, which is the world's largest asset manager. He always been advocating the need to have real world assets tokenization on these financial instruments. So I think he's been the main captain, if you like, and driver for pushing out RWAs, real world assets, things like bonds and stocks, and indeed other financial assets that can be tokenized, again, just to make it easier for management and to trade with. So these are some of the examples of the applicability of real world assets. And of course, as with type of technology that is new, there's always going to be some challenges, particularly when it comes to things like high transaction costs, and maybe there's going to be some limited liquidity, particularly if we're just starting out, assetizing these type of assets, and obviously complex regulatory challenges and compliances. So, these are what I perceive to be short-term challenges which can easily be addressed. Okay, moving on to the benefits of tokenization. Well, tokenization offers several benefits, as you can see here. The first one is increased liquidity. As I've just alluded earlier on, tokens can be traded on a 24/7 basis on a global market scale, which is appealing, and it's also in line with blockchain, right? It's global, it transcends different national borders, it doesn't have to be under the 9 to 5 office hours, it's completely 24/7. So it's in complete alignment. Moving on to fractional ownership, of course, it enables investors to own only a tiny fraction of high value assets particularly. It offers transparency and security. Since it involves and is underpinned by blockchain technology, it ensures all transactions are secure and transparent to everyone, which reduces the tendency and risk for fraud. And since records cannot be easily tampered with once they're committed on the public ledger, that is the ultimate benefit of real assets tokenization on the blockchain. And finally, efficiency. It offers reduced costs through the elimination of middlemen, which thereby reduces transaction costs moving forward. So those are the benefits of tokenization of assets, of any type of assets. Let's deep dive into what is tokenization process. What does it look like, or what will it look like? Well, if you start from the top left, first obvious area is what is the asset that we're going to be targeting for this tokenization process. So you need to select on a real world asset that has the economic value, because that's the purpose. What is the economic value of the underlying asset I would like to tokenize and make it available on the blockchain for access and trading by all on the blockchain. So you need that asset selection to be kicked off first. And then you move on to the legal regulatory compliance. So you need to be able to evaluate what is the state of compliance of the asset we would like to tokenize with the local laws and regulations to which we're going to be deploying. So it needs to take care of the differences and nuances of these laws and regulations for compliance purposes of the asset we are going to tokenize on the blockchain. So that is very, very important to tackle. Then need to worry about the development of the asset that of the token you're going to tokenize. So this is actually done using smart contracts, which are like programmable units or software programs that contain the series of instructions for the asset that's been tokenized and its deployment on the blockchain. So there's more like a development phase of tokenizing the asset. And then finally, once it's been deployed, you then need to distribute and start trading these tokens and assets on the blockchain to investors and stakeholders. So at that point, it then becomes completely deployable on the blockchain, and it's just a question of trading on the various digital exchanges for which it sits on. So that's really just a quick overview of the tokenization process of the assets. If you move on to some of the case studies, well, let's go through one obvious one, which for me it's real estate, because I believe this is the one that's currently being worked at the moment. In fact, I made a separate video. If you look into this video link, it goes into some recent news on, I think, a fintech in the Middle East that struck a deal with Mag Group. So there's Mantra as a fintech, struck a deal with Mag Group to tokenize almost half a billion worth of assets, real estate assets, in the Dubai region. So have a look at that video, and I'll use one example for this. So let's take the example of, if there is a luxury property, which obviously has a multi-million value attached, let's say 10 million, and be tokenizing it into 1 million tokens on the blockchain, well then obviously the actual investment potential there is obvious. Investors can buy these tokens worth $10 each, with each gaining a share in the property. It may sound very small, but the potential is so huge, right? Because you can actually make the value of the asset fraction. For whatever fraction or percentage of the real estate you're tokenizing. So that's the great thing. It really truly democratizes the real estate industry and investment, thereby allowing more people from all walks of life to participate and own a fraction of the property. So this same case study in real estate can actually apply the same principle and approach to cover other industries, other assets, like you see here, in arts and collectibles, and indeed in commodities. Now, if I move on to the challenges and risks, well, despite its potential of tokenization, it faces several challenges, as you can see here. So regulatory hurdles, regulatory uncertainty, this is a major challenge, because once you deploy and tokenize an asset on the blockchain, even if it's on a global scale, you do need to cover the different jurisdictions and nuances, since they each have various degrees of regulations and laws to abide by and comply with. So that is one of the challenges that you need to confront and resolve. And then you have the technological barriers, like ensuring the robust and secure platform is critical. So you need to cover these components. And then finally, market acceptance, convincing the actual traditional investors why they should adopt real world assets tokenization. I mean, that can be a challenge, but I see that more of a change management issue to be addressed. And this applies to every new technology or new concept. So I see these three challenges and risks. Okay, they're obvious, but can easily address these. It's just a question of effort and diligence. And finally, I want to end this episode on what is the future outlook of tokenization. You can see, for what I've just discussed, it looks awfully promising, right? It's true. There's a lot of
advancements made in blockchain technology, and also increasing regulatory clarity and tokenization is set to transform indeed various other sectors and assets. So the future is bright. It will certainly enhance the market efficiency. It will create new investment opportunities for everyone. And ultimately, it democratizes access to high value assets to everybody, to truly everybody. And this is what blockchain technology is about, and real world assets tokenization in particular. So the future is bright. It's going to take off.
I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and it's given you some idea as the true potential behind real world assets tokenization. The blockchain technology journey has started out on decentralized finance, but rapidly there's some other use cases being brought onto the fold. So real world assets tokenization will handle all other types of assets, not just in the finance arena, but for everything else on life. So this is truly positive, and the benefits there, as I've just mentioned, accessibility to all and fractional ownership of these tokenized assets on the blockchain, to absolutely everyone, no matter their background, their financial situation. It truly is democratization. So I think the future is indeed bright, and we should be hopeful, and we should embrace this new wave that's coming into the blockchain. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the like button. And if you haven't done so already, so please subscribe to this channel, as I regularly post some interesting and high quality videos that could be of interest to you investors out there.